Well, welcome to Carolina Week. We're actually sitting down with Hogan Medlin. I'm Megan Cassell. We're just going to get a little bit of an update on how things have been going this semester and some current issues with the university. So Hogan, alcohol abuse is kind of a major issue on campus, as I'm sure it is with many other college campuses. What kind of support does student government give students who are abusing alcohol?
Well, there's a few different approaches to it, and this year we actually have something new that's going on. But I guess the traditional approach has always been working with counseling and wellness services, which student fees pay for. We think that by partnering with them and making sure that those resources are available and widely known, we publicize through communities that may oftentimes be perceived as the alcohol abuse communities, or just areas where we know alcohol exists, such as Greek communities, or when there's a big celebration coming up, like for example Halloween last night, or if there's a basketball celebration, that's when you really want to hit publicity hard, but sort of maintain a constant presence of publicity throughout the year.
When we spoke earlier this semester, you were talking about training to lobby for less tuition increases and going to Washington, D.C. and doing this great program. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, the lobbying would be more in Raleigh, because our state legislature, they're the ones who set the budget and they decide the cut that the university system as a whole gets. But what we've done so far in tuition, I guess, let me update you since we've last talked. The Board of Governors was looking at the 4-year tuition plan, which was a plan originally, I guess it was done in around 2006 or 2005, that was set to try to give some sort of predictable model for students and what their tuition is going to look like in 4 years. So for example, that's where the tuition cap of 6.5% came from. Some of the other decisions about the separation of fees and tuition and how they should be looked at, students' role in the process. This was all created then. Well, the 4 years ran up, and so now they have actually revised it and looked at it, and I believe they're going to vote on it this month in November. So part of the role of student body president is that all students pay $1 to the Association of Student Governments, which is a body of students that really represents all of the 17 institutions under the UNC system. So that's UNC Asheville, Wilmington, Greensboro, Chapel Hill, Pembroke, School of the Arts, all the different schools that are under the purview of the UNC General Administration. We meet once a month, and that is sort of the main vehicle, or I guess the body that we go through when we're talking about tuition, because that's our lobbying outlet as a statewide organization. It's 207,000 students that are sort of recognized as full-time students in the system, and that's a big number, and that can have a lot of power and a lot of voice in Raleigh. So we are choosing to go through ASG for the big topics, the 4-year plan, the UNC system cuts. But as I talked to you before, we also have a lobbying plan for the UNC Chapel Hill population, because we want to make sure that we're representing not just the state, but UNC Chapel Hill students as well, because our needs are different from UNC Pembroke.
And you were talking about specifically training members of the student government.
Yes.
Has that training happened yet?
November 14th, I believe, is when it's happening. 14th or 17th, I'm getting my days mixed up. But we have a training set in place. So we have a Carolina Advocacy Committee in Cabinet, which is run by 2 co-chairs, and then they have a committee of about, I want to say 15 or 16 students currently, who are very interested in lobbying and sort of a legislative agenda and going to speak to our state legislators. And so we're going to provide a training for them. The General Assembly reconvenes in January for long session, and that runs from January till they're done, planning out the state budget and all the different things that need to be decided upon. So the biggest thing is that when I took office in April, they were in short term, which meant that the budget was really already sort of cooking. It was going through really quickly. So as soon as I took office, it became like top priority to get to Raleigh, to be there with other student body presidents. And it was a whirlwind experience. Let me tell you, as soon as you take office, to have to run to Raleigh and start, speaking to legislators was a great way to jump into the job. And so I think what I'm trying to do is get us there early in January, and then to have a constant presence. Whether we're going once, twice, 3 times a week, for the rest of the year, our message will be cohesive, it will be clear, and it will be one that talks about really the damages to the academic experience that further cuts are going to have. It's without a doubt that we're going to have another cut. I mean, especially because the federal stimulus is running out this year. Higher education is struggling across the nation, but in North Carolina, I think we are vulnerable mostly because historically our state has been so supportive. It's why our tuition is so low compared to other schools across the nation. And because we are now looking at a budget that is becoming more similar to other states, I think our state legislators are having to make decisions that sort of go against that historical support of the university, and that's really where we're most fearful. So I think our job as student leaders and as as any students who want to join us, we need to be in Raleigh, sort of delivering a message, telling our state legislators that, hey, you cut us this much more, you're hurting our ability to provide financial aid to students who really need it, or you're increasing the size of my class, and I'm not getting that personal attention from my professor because they're spread so thin, or I can't even register for classes because they're being dropped. There are going to be some significant changes, and of course, that always comes back and then the conversation of a tuition increase. The question is low tuition worth it when you're getting a poor quality of an education?
And will our student government spearhead the training of other student governments?
That was part of the original conversation. Hopefully not. Hopefully we can give them sort of a model, and that we'd love for the other student body presidents to sort of pick it up and run with it as well. And I think we're fortunate in that the individual who's going to be training our committee on November 14th or 17th, her name is Erin, and she came from general administration. She worked for general administration as their sort of legislative liaison, and we got her at UNC Chapel Hill now. So she's very, very good at what she does, and she is very connected and knows a lot of the state legislators, which is a huge benefit to us. So I think what we need to do is to take what we can learn from her, and then create a model and provide resources to the other universities. In hopes that we don't have to give up a whole lot of time to travel to other campuses, but it's something we have discussed at ASG in hopes that where other campuses to ask for help, we can provide some student trainers.
Can you go over some of the things you talked about when you were running, and what have you accomplished, and what do you still hope to accomplish?
Philosophy-wise, one of the biggest things that I was pushing for during the campaign was the idea of collaboration in a time of economic downturn. Knowing that we have so many student organizations and such limited funding, how can we continue to move Carolina forward without necessarily having to prey on the strained resources that we have financially? So through Cabinet, what we've done is we've put together sort of models of connecting student organizations that have similar missions in hopes that they will work more collaboratively instead of working in their own sort of silos.
I know one of those organizations is the Carolina Dance Initiative. Was that something that sort of stemmed from that idea?
That came from, I think that was maybe under the Rayner administration, working with the dance groups. Another good example is the Environmental Affairs Committee. They have really put together this network of campus sustainability groups, whether it's waste management or water use or the university's policies on pollution, coal use. These groups come together all the time. They have a listserv where they're all the chapter or organization presidents are in communication with each other. And to me, that is a perfect model for how I think student organizations should also interact. It's great that we do our own thing, and it's awesome. I actually think it's one of the coolest things about Carolina that you can create your own organization if it doesn't already exist. You talk to other campuses, they don't have that capability. But at the same time, as we continue to create more organizations, let's make sure we're not duplicating efforts that currently exist. And so that's something that we've been pushing, and I'm really excited to see that come to fruition. So check out the October report if you have any more questions about what we've been working on.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
Time is flying by. How is it November? I don't understand. But I hope that midterms went well, and I hope you all had a safe Halloween. And we've got more updates coming for you later on this semester. So get in touch with us if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.
Thanks. That's Hogan Medlin live in the Satellite Studio, and I'm Megan Cassell. Thanks.